Gray Pill Podcast, where truth's unveiled, exploring the depths beyond what is retail. Conspiracies, esoteric knowledge so enthralling. Open up your mind, let's dive into the sprawling. Oh yeah. Gray Pill awaken, question what you know. Peeling back the layers, let your curiosity grow. Uncover hidden realities, break the mold. Come take the journey, let your mind unfold.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Gray Pill Podcast. SWAPCAST, Cult of Conspiracy, Cult of Gray Pilled. I don't know what you'd call that. We can. I was thinking about naming it something like that. I'm your host, Jules, one of your hosts, one of three, here with the Cult of Conspiracy.
Yes.
What's going on, guys? Jacob and Jonathan.
Not much, man. We are stoked about this Swapcast. Anytime we get to come in front of other podcasters out there that are kind of seeking the same truth and knowledge and sifting through all of the bullshit and all the lies and all that fun jazz, it's like, you know, it's more fun on the free side than it is on the side that tells you that men are allowed to dress up and play in women's sports. It's more fun on the opposite side of that.
You're absolutely right, brother.
Yes, indeed.
Dude, tell me a little bit about yourselves. Like, when did you first start this podcast, and how long have you been into conspiracies and the unknown? I guess you could say.
I initially started the podcast about 4.5 years ago with one of my best friends, Hat, and we did about maybe 6 months of the show, and he started getting super turbo black pilled, and he had to step away from it. So then I was like, well, I guess it's just gonna be me then, and I did like an episode or two by myself. And what happened is that I had known Jacob from shows that he had been on with us before. And he was like, hey, dude, do you need another co-host? And I was like, fuck yeah, let's do it. And so we just kind of been riding this way ever since then.
Yeah, at that time I had a podcast with my younger brother, and it was a failed attempt at something kind of resembling a podcast. I'm going to be honest. It was like a shot at comedy, but it was more smoke pit humor, if you will, from a construction site. And it's funny, but for a certain demographic, and for the rest of the world, it kind of disgusts them. So, I mean, it wasn't like I was,
look,
you know,
I've done shows like that. Yeah, man.
yeah,
you know, your way of doing comedy in a way, you know, but at the same time, I mean, at least you're doing something, right? You have a show, and I mean, you could say that, I have, like, I think I was telling y'all earlier, I have 5 shows, really, well, like 4 shows that I do. I have Gray Pilled, which is like just interviews, swapcast, deep dives. Then I produce for a show called Already Dead. Every Tuesday, it's a live call-in show with Jose from Tower Gang and Austin Picard from the Underclass Podcast. Shout out Jose and Austin, man.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, dude. It's kind of like a parapolitical show.
Yeah.
Which I'm like the least familiar with. So it's cool to kind of catch what they have to say. Dude, they know their shit.
No doubt.
And then I do Elohim Etymology with my co-host Adrian West, who is an author, and he's like a film editor. He shoots a whole bunch of concerts and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So we have a show that we basically dive into certain deities.
Yeah.
That trace all the way back to Sumeria and kind of talk about what archetype or what incarnation they might have been all the way up to present day, and like what symbols they're, you know, that are used to worship them, and what people, you know, what groups or religious cults might be worshiping them as well. And then I have Sound Science that I do with the Paranoid American. Shout out Thomas. And that, I think I talked to y'all about coming on that, dude. I think
I'd love to.
Oh, yeah.
But so the show that I had with my brother was an attempt at comedy. It didn't really go anywhere, and me and him were kind of already fizzling out anyway. And me and Jonathan just kind of our paths crossed because of his brother-in-law and at the time my coworker on a job site. And one thing led to another. We discovered that we just accidentally found a little lightning in a bottle between the two of us. And me being a Marine Corps veteran Christian who has a bit of a history nerd at heart going on, mixed with Jonathan, who is a super spiritualist, super esoteric thinking, super meta history, metaphysics, meta science. So when you get the two of us together talking about conspiracies from very different vantage points, the back and forth conversation of that kind of makes for good content. And honestly, I think we have learned a lot about not just conspiracies and history and these types of things, but a lot about different perspectives and different vantage points from just dealing with each other, not to mention different guests that we have come on with way different vantage points than either of us. So it's like, I think it just has
That's always
formed,
fun, dude.
it's kind of snowballed into its own weird amalgamation. But bro, it's become a really fun job. Best job ever had, for sure.
Yeah, man, it's always fun to do something you love. And like we were saying, I think we were talking about this earlier as well, all this stuff happening in real time. So it's not stuff that you can go back and kind of look into, but
Yeah.
stuff that you can just see happening and talk about it, link it up. I mean, everything is connected. I'm starting to figure out, you know.
Yeah.
You find out more and more all these synchronicities that line up. So
Hey, dude, what we
100%.
found out is that everything pretty much happens for a reason, and there ain't no mistakes out
I
there
don't believe in
this,
coincidences.
in this
Yeah.
world, in this matrix, in this simulation, wherever the hell we're living. This place is something that is beyond our understanding, I think, for the most part. But yeah, I
What do
love
y'all
trying to
think it
figure it out.
is? Y'all think it's flat or hollow or
We are very different in our beliefs on that. I am a globetard. I do, in fact, believe that we live on a
and
ball
yeah.
flying through not a vacuum of space, but yeah, that the basic narrative of science. I'm on that side of the fence. However,
Right.
I've gone back and forth as far as there was a point in time where I was a flat earther, and then I discovered hallucinogenics, and I thought, oh, it really
Hell yeah.
probably doesn't matter what the shape of the Earth is because we're kind of locked in here either way. And but I will say that NASA definitely lies,
Yeah.
and
Those images are fake, probably.
they
You
are
know.
absolutely stealing all of our
Absolutely.
taxpayer money, and it's going to God knows what. And
agreed.
but no, I've gone through a flat Earth stage. I've gone through a double toroid stage, which is kind of, you know, maybe a little bit where I'm at right now.
I'm about to say, are you off of that now, bro?
Is that the snowman Earth?
No,
That's the one where it's
Y'all seen that though,
basically-
right?
Well, it's
No.
basically two toroids that are on top of each other, like two toruses, and they're laid there. It's like a bubbled on top of each other.
That's
and whenever you
snowman
put,
Earth.
yeah, whenever you
That's
put them both
what my
together,
audience was calling snowman Earth. Whenever
how
we
is that snowman? I thought I could see a donut, maybe.
Okay, well, maybe it's something else that we looked at that was relating it to some other example. I think that it may be both flat and hollow. Like I don't know. I don't know. I kind of I think the truth is in the middle of a lot of things. So I've considered that. I'm into like obviously the inner earth shit, right? But I'm also into the land beyond the ice wall, and like that shit just really intrigues me, you know?
No doubt.
So, and
yeah,
we
I
know
think it's
anything's
equally
possible.
possible that there is a flat Earth, that there's a flat Earth, and also possibly the double toroid kind of thing. Because as far as the double toroid goes, this is why I find it so fascinating, is because where the two toroids meet, right in the center, is what's called the plane of inertia, which is what most people would call just the flat Earth, right? But I think that what we live on is not as it's I feel like it's more complex than we're led to believe. I know that like us spinning on a ball going through all these, you know, different portions of the universe, and we're spinning at so many, that's crazy. I get it. Like that's pretty complex, but I think that the double toroid would actually be the most complex, and I think it lends the most amount of credence to interdimensional play as well.
Yeah, and I definitely think if there are any entities that they're interdimensional, um, then you see that in some of these ancient stories with these fallen deities. That's why I love kind of diving down into those rabbit holes, comparing and contrasting stories, and you can trace it through the etymology as well. So find those one of the most fascinating things. But
No doubt.
What is this about Elohim etymology? What were you saying about this now?
Yeah.
I
What's your
love
religious
anything about that.
background?
okay,
Since you brought that up, now I have to ask, what is your personal religious background? Or as far as the Elohim being brought up, that's kind of a trigger word to some people, you know?
yeah, really. Well,
Not negative, but it sparks
right.
like, okay, either
It
this guy is
sparks-
of
yeah, yeah.
this belief, or this belief. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, I'm a follower. I'm a follower of Christ, man.
Okay.
Growing up, so my grandfather, my mom's dad, was adopted by a Jewish family, and I've talked about this a lot. Um, my grandma converted, so I was raised Jewish until I was 13, and
Wow.
I didn't have a bar mitzvah. Um,
Were y'all practicing Jews? Like went to
no,
temple
no,
and like any
no.
of that?
We went to Sundays. You know, we didn't go to Shabbat every Friday at all. You know, we weren't like very yeah. So like I don't really consider myself at all ever really to be Jewish, even though I was, I guess you could say, culturally Jewish. I don't know.
Bro, you are like the least Jewish dude I've ever seen in my life. You look German as fuck.
Well, no, okay. So I'm 78% Scottish and Irish, and then the
Ah,
rest is German and French. Yeah,
that adopted into the faith, man. Hell yeah.
0% Ashkenazi and Sephardic, and the other one. So, you know,
But like y'all's cuisine growing up, your mom cooks Jewish food and shit.
well, not as much, dude. Like it really, you
A
wouldn't
lot of
even
brisket and
know.
shit, like no pork.
Sometimes, no, we ate pork, so like it was really
Oh, y'all are not Jewish,
exactly.
dude.
So I was just raised, and to be honest with you, man, I think with the bar mitzvah, I think it's like it's a theory. I think it's like part of a weird ritual. That's
Yeah.
just me. That's just me.
I mean, yes
yeah.
to that. Yeah.
Yeah. You feel me? But so I was an atheist, dude. Like I was we were talking about I was a punk rock kid and then I actually rapped when I was older, like in my 20s. I guess when I was growing, I was like a punk rock wigger in a way.
Heard that. I
But
don't even know if that word's allowed to be said. Are we allowed to say that? Fuck it. Okay, send it. Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, you know,
who is
we're-
allowing us to say these things,
white.
disallowing us to
we're
say
white.
I'm just
bro. We
saying.
could say wigger.
I mean, I know that, but it's just I don't know. Man, yeah. Yeah, I guess so. It's like calling you a cracker. I mean, we're white.
Yeah,
And I
okay,
used
well-
to say that. People got mad at me for that, being like, cracker, please. And they'd be like, bro, what? And it's like, oh, come on. It's comic gold. There's not many white jokes. We got to make them where we see them.
There you go.
Anyway.
But as I got older, was into drug culture, and whatnot. Got on opiates. I'm very open about it, dude. My audience, if they watch my show, they know who I am, right?
No, dude, that's how you claim it.
Yeah, man, yeah. And I'm 7 years clean, so
Fuck yeah.
yeah, man, yeah. Almost took my life multiple times.
Yeah, it'd be like that, bro.
Yeah, man. If it wasn't for my wife and my son, well, I have a son and a daughter now, but at the time I just had my son. I don't know, man. There's a reason that I'm still here, you know.
Fuck yeah.
And so I went to church after I got in a bad wreck, and
Why?
basically, huh?
What led you to go to church after a bad wreck? Like
Well-
to a Christian faith as opposed to something.
Well, because I didn't believe in anything, you know, and I was just looking for something, and I found there like 25 people all surrounding me, praying for me, and like I start crying, and yeah, have a real deep spiritual experience.
Hell yeah.
And at that same time, I started getting more into so I was reading the Bible, but I was also getting into conspiracies and the occult. And so like it was like I said, I believe everything does happen for a reason, even us meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because, dude, I
Funny
was
how when
supposed,
you get deeper in your faith, you get deeper into the conspiratorial looking into
Dude,
things, bro.
I'm
That you're not
telling
the
you.
first person I've heard say that.
And that's what has led me closer to Christ. You
Yep.
know?
I've heard that by a lot of people, and not just Christ, although because of where we live, I feel like in America, most people, when they find faith, would probably mathematically accidentally find Christianity, and I get that. But I've noticed that a lot of people, and you kind of got to, because when you start looking more into the truth, it gets depressing. You get black pilled. So it's like
You do, bro.
you
Yeah.
got to have your star player in line to not get overwhelmed with it. And a lot of people, as they're diving deeper into the conspiratorial world, they're also diving deeper into their faith to like reassure them that like, yo, God's got a plan. And like, yeah, the deck is really stacked against us, but like, yo, it's according to the plan. Take a breath. And you know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Started diving into, and I kind of found like an esoteric version of Christianity at the same time, which
Christian
can,
mysticism, dude.
it could mean a lot to you as far as, because, and I've said this a lot recently, you can go to church every Sunday, you can read the Bible 100 times. If you don't walk with that spirit, the spirit of Christ, the Holy Spirit, some people call it Christ consciousness, there's, and so, yeah, it's an energy, right? We're all made up of energy. Uh, I don't think you're missing the mark if you're part of the religion but not of the spirit. Does that make sense? I mean,
Which is
100%.
essentially, which is sinning, is to miss the mark, isn't it?
yeah, yeah.
But
I mean, that's what he
not
would say.
necessarily. We're all sinners. We all sin.
We're all
It's
fallen. Right, right.
it's the judgment. It's the, and not even judging other people. It's judging
Dude.
yourself in a sense of like, I am good.
Yeah.
I am correct. First of all, that whole you, yourself, and you bullshit, go ahead and take that to the back seat. No one asked. God didn't
Yeah.
even ask. You know what I mean? That's the kind of thing. It's like, if it's talk is cheap. Talk is cheap. And showing up on a Sunday or showing up on whatever day is your day of reckoning or whatever, that's the easy shit. If you're not applying it, if you're not actually doing it and being about it, then what's the point?
No,
I get that.
you're absolutely right, dude. You're wasting your own time. But the reason that the wreck that I got in was spiritual was because when we flipped, my wife said she opened her eyes and I didn't have a seatbelt on. And she said something was keeping me in my seat. Like I should have fucking launched out that window, dude. And so, yeah, it was, and then I went to treatment after that and all that. So it
So
was
you
needed.
should have gotten launched out of that car, but you didn't. And that's whenever you said, what was it, like 20, 25 people came around the car as you
No,
got
no, no.
back and
That's
started praying?
I thought to myself after that happened, like, okay, something protected me, right? Let me go seek that out. And so I went and that was just this church that that my in-laws had went to. And there's a lot of people there, dude. There's some not good people there, you know.
What kind of Christianity? Geez, I can't speak. What type of Christian church was it, if you don't mind me
It
asking?
was a Southern Baptist church.
Gotcha.
Right. And so we go to one down the street now that's just non-denominational.
That's
church.
where I found my home for the most part. I know that it's like a slippery slope before you're one of the Hillsong United looking, conglomerate church with 18 campuses. And
Yeah.
I get it. But as far as the true word and applying it to our lives today, that's the closest I have personally found. So I get that.
Yeah, man. And I mean, I think I've lost listeners because I've talked more about like some of this other stuff than the Bible, you know, and maybe I should dive more into the biblical text, but
Do you consider yourself a Christian content creator
no,
or a content creator who is Christian?
a content creator who is Christian, right?
Then talk
Right.
your shit, dog.
Yeah, no, and that's what
Yeah.
I do, man. I question everything, even if it makes me uncomfortable sometimes. I kind of question it, and it usually leads me back to Christ, you know?
Yeah.
But I always end up, that's one of the greatest things about doing this is you always end up learning something new
Oh yeah.
I would like to
almost every
hear
time.
about your esotericness as far as Christianity goes. Has your looking into the esoteric version of Christianity, has that brought you closer, brought you a little bit, maybe some realizations that maybe have helped you get a little deeper into Christianity per se?
Absolutely, man. I figured out that there's many ways to read the Bible, right? Um,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think it said that there are 7 ways, and you see that number, right? You see that
Important
number a
number.
lot in there, like seven. I have it underlined all throughout. What I just started from Genesis and started reading. Um, now I've been underlining everything that I find to be esoteric or mystical in some way. It, if that's like naming some deity and talking and or the
That
numerology of some things.
yeah. What do
Yeah.
you mean by if it sounds esoteric to you? Like what would be if you were just
If
reading
I
along?
if I feel like I find hidden meaning in it, right?
Okay, so you're not talking about mention of like a sorceress. Like
Well, well,
that's a
obviously that,
okay.
but that's you have the exoteric and the esoteric, right?
Sure,
What
sure.
you can see and then what you kind of have to look at a little deeper to see.
Yeah.
Um, and I've, reading people like Manly Palmer Hall, um, Rudolph Steiner, a few other people, man. I don't really get into Crowley and stuff. I've looked into Crowley a bunch. I know who he was, like
Sure.
what kind of chaos magician he was, and the stuff he did. But as far as reading some of those, like I've read the Necronomicon, and I ended up getting rid of the book. Just because I read
Good.
it, because I have there's few entities that I have dove into
Mm-hmm.
through since I've started. Um, Semyaza being one, Marduk being another, or Azazel, and
Yep.
then Inky being the third, also known as Samael or Lucifer.
Yeah.
Um, and you can trace these deities throughout time, their worship. Lately, I've been diving into the moon god, the god of Islam, I think Islam, Nanar Sin, who is the father of Ishtar. Um, Not a good dude, right?
Okay.
So, yeah, man, stuff like that. And then when you read the Bible and you see these deities being worshipped in the biblical text just by other names. But usually you can trace the deities, like I said, through the etymology or through the archetypes. One example of the etymology would be Enlil, also El, Saturn, right? You take the E from the first of his name and the L from the end of his name. And that's usually how a lot of these, whether you make them shorter or and he lines up directly such in an archetypal way and a symbolic way as that deity. The eagle representing him, also his children being Zeus and Helios, the sun god. And like, you know, if the Sumerian stories of the Anunnaki aren't all that they're put out there to be, like how Sitchin wrote them or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
Lawrence Gardner, a few other people, then they're interdimensional. Like these entities exist, and they're the ones who have been manipulating from all sides of the corner, right? Now, some people go in to say that the story of Christ is just symbolic in the story of one of these rebirth rituals, right? These ancient mystery
Right.
schools. I don't find that. I find there to be some meaning in that, and that Christ probably knew about the esoteric, right?
Well,
He
I mean,
studied in Egypt, correct?
n- not according to the biblical history, no, but I'm with you.
No. Well, what I'm saying is like I don't know. I just know my lived experience. So, I it's you can look at stories like that in many ways.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, the whole thing about like his story of, for instance, his death, resurrection in 3 days, from a virgin birth. There are stories like that that predate Christ, right? There's all types of stories throughout the histories of pantheons of different gods from different portions of the world that had this same story, which a lot of people will say disproves Jesus because look at how many other stories there are just like it. If anything, that tells me that the prophecy of him coming was told in many different languages.
That's
from
why he
many
is
different
the
angles.
Christ.
Right.
Right? He is Jesus or Yeshua, whatever you want to call him, the Christ. He is the
Right.
Christed one. There may have been other initiates, right, of some kind of school or religion before him that attempted that, right? That attempted complete enlightenment, whatever you would want to call it. But they just weren't that guy, right?
There were a lot of
what
figures
else
that
can you
claimed to
say?
be the Messiah,
Right,
or
right,
something
right.
akin to that per different language, per different culture. There's been these in the past for sure.
But as far as, Christ being a title, I know that some people don't like hearing that, but it depends on really where you're like what you're wanting to believe in, though. Like, so if you look at the etymology of Christ, it does come from Christos, which does mean the anointed one, and that's
Right,
from
right.
Greek. And so is that where they got it? Was it the Greek that called him the Christ, the anointed one, because he wasn't born? That wasn't his name when he was born, right? Like
No, his name was Yeshua, and he
It
was
was
known as the carpenter's kid.
It was Emmanuel, right? When he was born?
I
Or
mean,
is
they
that
said that
just-
he would be called that, but that's a word for savior. So I mean, that's like
Got you.
basically saying that he would be the savior of the world, which yes, but he was called Yeshua. Yeah, and I mean, we know that they didn't even have a
Yeshua.
J in the alphabet for the Hebrew language. So like the whole thing about John and Joseph and
Was it
you know,
Juan?
right, yeah, soft J. They would go for their morning
Soft
yawn,
J.
you know.
Yeah, bro.
But yeah, so yeah, to the anointed one thing, but all these other stories about these other savior figures can't be verified. We know for sure that Yeshua of Nazareth, his story can be verified by eyewitnesses, by
Right.
people will argue about the Shroud of Turin until the cows come home. We've done multiple episodes on it. I honestly
Really?
feel convinced beyond a shadow of a doubt that it's authentic, but people will throw shade at a couple of the red flags, which I get.
Yeah.
But to me, it seems like it's the genuine article. But as far as Jesus himself living, dying in the time and place that he said, Pontius Pilate assigning him to death, the whole thing, that's verified by history. And like even the staunchest of atheist scholars at least agreed that that guy, the dude in question, existed. Somehow people want to like fight that today. And then it's about, well, yeah, he lived, but he wasn't what he said he was. And it,
Well,
you know, murky,
y'all saw what
murky.
happened. Y'all saw what happened with Billy Carson, right?
Dude, we were just talking about this. He tried to step up to the plate against an actual
Why
real
didn't he
one.
just tell them like I fucked up?
Bro,
I'm
you know
sorry.
he's got charges on him now because of
He's
what happened the
filing-
next
he's
morning.
Suing him. He's suing him.
He showed up at the producer's house at 2:30 in the morning, banging on his door, demanding he doesn't release the episode. Bro, his wife and kids were in there. So he called the cops and he's like, oh no, we're full sending this shit. And it's like, okay, you could have taken the L gracefully, Billy. Everybody with a brainstem has known
I
that you've
didn't
been
know
full of
he
shit for a
showed
while.
up
But
there,
like,
bro.
there's Ring camera footage. Have you seen it?
No.
Oh, I'm gonna try to find it. Oh, don't fuck with me. Oh, Jonathan, you're already Googling it, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Bro,
That's on top of it, dude.
that Ring camera footage was, I mean, there's no denying it. Billy Carson has a very recognizable face and voice.
Oh,
So, I
yeah.
mean, it,
Oh, yeah.
and that's not going to go well. He already had charges for stalking during his COVID from his ex-wife and shit. I thought that those charges were cleared and it was all good. He's been making money. He's been doing his content thing.
Yeah.
He's got a model Asian woman on his arm. Looks like the man's doing well for himself, you know, but fuck.
Well, I had watched him when he was on Gaia a little bit, like as an introduction into the Anunnaki and stuff. Him and Matt LaCroix, I think that's his last name. But Billy, you know, he thinks that they are here to save us, you know, or like they are
Of course,
are
of course.
gods, right? Like, and that's just not. We come from one creator,
Agreed.
right? Yeah. Who the fallen even refer to as the creator of all,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And
Which fallen say that?
okay, well, you have two classes of angels that fell. You have the Watcher angels that fell, which is like Inky and Leo, any females that fell along with them. Uh, and then you have the Ajiji, or well, I guess
Azazel.
Azazel, Semyaza, Shamash, Utu
Mhm.
Shamash, the sun god, um, who that was the second fall. That was the fall of like that was the fall of them mating with the Earth women, right? The
Okay.
first fall was the fall of Inky
The
in the
fall from
garden.
grace, the fall from heaven.
Yeah,
Oh, fall
yeah.
from the garden.
Well, they had all already like fallen.
Okay.
But Inky is that serpent archetype in the garden, right?
Got you.
And I don't know, man. It's when you look at Enoch and you look at the Sumerian stories, they line up, you know.
So basically, the fallen ones, according to the scripture within the Bible, the fallen ones say that the God of Abraham is the creator of everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Now,
I just want to clear that up because, first off, I'm not a Christian, although I respect everybody's beliefs. I'm never going to shit on anybody for, having certain beliefs because my beliefs are just as wacky. That's what I always like to say.
well,
It's kind of like
the
a fun jab at that
fallen,
point.
the fallen were around before Abraham, so you see him kind of later on in the Anunnaki story. But I don't know if they ever really state that, but that's what it is seen as. Some people interpret the God of Abraham to be Enlil, right? That's a theory out there. Not what I believe, but um, like I said, there's you have people pushing that Christ wasn't real or this or that, so you got to take some of these stories with a grain of salt, right? But there's
I do
many
like how
ways,
you're
like I was saying, there's many ways to look at it, many interpretations, many different interpretations
Well, of
of these.
course, and that's why you're going to have 2,000 different denominations of Christianity because there is so many different ways of looking at it, and
Yeah.
there's actually a large portion of Christians out there that they don't subscribe to any of the esoteric stuff. As a matter of fact, like the esoteric is satanic, and you should only look at it for the exoteric values. And Jacob, not to call you out here, but you're kind of anti-esoteric. And so whenever I start getting into any kind of the esoteric meaning behind it, and could it have meant this because he did speak in parables? How do we know exactly what he meant whenever he was speaking in parables, right? And I think that it's smart to be able to look at it multiple ways because
Yes.
if you're somebody who just walks through life, not pointing any fingers at any person directly here, but if you're somebody who just walks through life and says, I understand everything as it is already, as my brain is the smartest and I win. And I think that you're not learning anything. I think
Right.
you have to be open to multiple different perspectives here. And that's why we talk about a lot of these things on the show. And not everything is so cut and dry. There's so much murky water out there. And I don't know. That's why
I could be wrong about everything, dude. This is my interpretation of things. So,
But I mean, for the record, Jonathan,
we are all kind of crazy, right?
we are indeed. But like, my thing has always been not necessarily I'm anti-esoteric. I acknowledge it to be real. I acknowledge most of it to be based in truth and all of these things. But the book that I derive my morals from says basically, don't fuck with it. Like it's very clear of like necromancy, magic. If it's done in secret, Don't even play with it. Like it, but that's just where I am at. That's
Well,
why.
esoteric doesn't mean magic. It just means
No,
deeper, more
it means
spiritual
hidden.
understanding.
Yeah,
No,
well, that's what
it
a cult
doesn't.
means
A cult.
is
Excuse me.
hidden.
Excuse me.
Yeah,
Excuse me.
yeah.
But hold on,
But
Jonathan. I've told you to even look into Christian mysticism because I thought you would actually get something from it.
Oh, I know.
esoteric
Well,
does mean like a deeper meaning, though.
I mean, hey, look, as long as this version of magic is not gonna spite me and smite me by the Almighty, it's funny how all that.
I don't know if it will or not. I don't know.
Like Christian mysticism or Christian magic, if you will, is okay, but all other magics across all other
Ritual
time,
magic, blood magic, chaos magic. Yeah, don't touch it, right?
even though all that is incorporated into the Bible.
Dude, okay, so here's another form of etymology. Cannibal comes from the Canaanite worship of Baal.
Yep.
Right? Cannibal. So yeah, dude, there you go right there. That like what I was talking about in these ancient mystery schools with these rebirth rituals. Where they would go underground into a cave or something and do some sort of ritual and then come back out and the rebirth, and it's on a certain day. There's many different examples of that we could get
absolutely.
into sometime, dude. I'd love to do some more shit with y'all, man.
Oh, dude,
I
there's
like hanging
cultures
out
around
with
the
you
world.
guys.
Same.
Yeah, bro.
Same.
I like hanging out with you guys. Y'all are cool.
We talking
Man.
about rebirth rituals, dude. And not even just a cult. Like the Freemasons do a rebirth ritual upon initiation, and fine, yes,
in the coffin. Yeah.
and that deserves its talking point. Don't get me wrong, but like if we're gonna talk real shit, if we're gonna talk like ancient shit, all right, y'all ever seen Game of Thrones? Right? Remember when Theon Greyjoy had to be drowned? And then if he woke up, he was supposed to be the king because what's dead can't be killed.
Dude.
You remember this, right?
Were those how old
What's
that
dead
dude?
may never die.
Right. That was his house motto, this whole thing. Now listen, understand that your boy who wrote Game of Thrones based every single tribe, clan, and house off of a real historical place and figure and fact and all of these things. There are ancient religions and ancient tribes of people who like would drown their king. Or would bury their king or their queen or their high priestess or whatever. And if this person who claims to have been this grand person is divinely chosen and they can't die. So if we bury them for 2 days, they should come down from the mountain as the highest of enlightenedest of beings, correct? And there's whole precedence for this, bro. 100%.
Bro, yeah. My buddy Isaac from Organite. I don't know if y'all ever checked out
dude.
Organite. Yeah, man. It's my boy.
Actually, big shout out to him for making me this Encrate here, bro. Check that thing out.
Isaac's the man, brother. He has these pyramids right here. If you go to organite.com, guys, organ-ite, I'm gonna throw a little plug in here, y'all.
Fuck yeah.
You put in promo code GP, get 10% off. So yeah, shout out Isaac.
And plus, Isaac's just like the best kind of people. Like, you know what I mean? He deserves all the shouts outs.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, and he's young too. Like he's only like 21, 22. I'm like, damn,
young father.
My head was pulled out of my ass that early of an age. You know, like that must be nice to get started that early.
Yeah, man.
Fucking right, man.
Yeah, no, that's crazy you brought that up though, brother. Yeah. That would be like an early form of a rebirth ritual. And you see it in the Osirian mystery schools, in the Mithras mystery schools. Like it's everywhere, dude.
Oh, you see it in the Mayan and the Aztec as well?
Yeah, man. You see a lot, dude. There's a ton. That's full of occultism tons of blood sacrifice, right? Tons of child, animal, and human sacrifice. It's
what was one? I just looked into it. They would tie thorns onto a braid of rope. And they would, because most they had their tongues pierced, they would pass it up and down through their tongue as their own personal bloodletting ritual during a certain sacrifice to a certain deity. I forget which one it was. We talked about it once upon a time. Their worst was their rain dance ritual, because usually it was like a high priest's child or like one of his direct family members, like baby. And they would slowly torture this child to death through cutting and through burning and all this. The more the child screamed, the more pleased the rain god was. Oh, bro, it was fucking sick.
Adrenochrome right there, dude. I mean,
very much like Moloch. Oh, no. You want to talk ancient adrenochrome? We did an episode on that. So, bro, listen. The earliest form of hot chocolate that we have, as far as a red hot chocolate, have you heard of this?
No,
Okay. All right. Brace yourself for this one. You brought it up.
I
You have
did,
no
dude.
idea how
Blow my
correct
mind,
you
man.
are. So listen. All right. There was one god. All right. Ixcakalakal or whatever the fuck. I can't pronounce it. There's not enough vowels and too many syllables for
I
me.
know
But
who you're
anyway,
talking about. Yeah.
for their one god worshiping thing for him, their big sacrifice, they would have a prisoner that they would have dressed as the god. He would be paraded through the streets by day and dance and music, and he'd be given the gifts and all of that. But at night, he would be locked in a cage because he knew that this party was going to be coming to an end. And I want to say it was at 40 days, if I'm not mistaken. Weird how that number kind of magically played in. But anyway, on this final day, he was going to be sacrificed at the high temple, and his body was going to be like consumed or this and like release this god who is contained within this fleshly suit. Okay, cool. But if for whatever reason he just kind of lost his nerve and wasn't really feeling the whole party vibe, like, okay, I'm about to die tomorrow, like I'm not really feeling this anymore, they made him a drink. Okay, what they would do is take cacao, which they would grind up into a paste, and they would make into like early hot chocolate, and they would throw like chili powder in there or whatever, right? Montezuma allegedly drank 50 goblets of this a day, which we know is bullshit, but it's legend. But they would make this, and keep in mind, cacao is really, really high in caffeine. Okay? Really, really euphoric, as a matter of fact. In its pure form, you can buy cacao dust and snort it like Coke right now. It's a thing you can buy. It doesn't give you a full-on Coke effect, but it gives you a decent buzz for a minute. But anyway.
Wow.
So, and not to mention, they exchange cocoa beans as currency. There's a whole thing, but this was like one of their most precious commodities. They would make a drink out of that, but then they would wash the obsidian daggers that they would use for sacrifices that were covered in blood. They would wash those blades off and use that water mixed with cacao and give him this as a drink. And then he would like instantly go back to dancing and singing and being crazy. They called the drink, it's kakalakal or whatever it is, and it was called the washing of the obsidian blades. That is a real historically documented drink that they would make for their sacrifice to re-drug him up and get him in the spirit. Tell me that that is not the earliest form of ancient, dirty adrenochrome that we have on record, bro.
Yeah, dude. I'd have to say so. I don't know if there's any earlier stories of it, dude.
You think about that. The sacrificial dagger, whoever's blood is on that was highly adrenalized. Like they were being sacrificed in front of this massive amount of people on top of this giant pyramid temple thing. Yo, they were fucking scared shitless. So like all of that blood on that dagger was super adrenalized. And they just mixed that with some hot chocolate and gave it to him, and he fucking partied deep. Like, dude.
I mean, dude, that's why blood magic is so popular, as well as sex magic, right?
Yeah,
but,
which we have Crowley to thank for that too.
Yeah, dude. I mean, look at the fucking, what's that album?
Saturnalia was
Red
way
Hot
before
Chili
Crowley.
Peppers. Blood
Saturnalia
Sugar Sex
wasn't
Magic?
based around sex magic, though. Crowley made Thelema based around it.
Yeah, that. Oh man, yeah, that whole religion is just fucked, man.
Saturnalia had the orgies
Anyone
for
who
sure,
would
though.
choose that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ordo
I feel like
Saturnus.
it's kind of the main point to Saturnalia.
Saturnalia? No, it was the
Right?
worship of Saturn. It wasn't. No. Saturnalia was basically just a massive. Yeah, there were orgies, but mostly it was like the rich people get treated like slaves. The slaves get treated like rich people. It was like just a giant week-long festival. Like sex was there, but it wasn't a sex fest. You know what I mean? It was a worship of the god Saturn fest.
Yeah, dude.
But, I mean, sex was very, very highly indicative of all of Roman culture. I mean, there's dicks on every single mile marker statue in Rome, like the god of Hermes, and then his dick for no reason, just all over. And it was a whole thing.
That's why we have all the monuments, dude. They're all phallic symbols. And that what I was talking about with the Osirian schools. Osiris, who in the Sumerian story is the son of Marduk, his penis is cast into the Nile, right? And so you have that representation in the Washington Monument. We have one right off the interstate, right here in Mississippi, dude.
Oh, dude, every
Um,
Masonic tombstone is a phallus.
an obelisk, yes, an obelisk is a phallus. Yes, yes.
100%.
Um,
I feel like there's got to be way more to it than that, dude.
well,
To
yeah,
what?
yeah.
To the phallus.
Well,
What do you
there
think
is more to it.
that is, well, that you could add on to it besides it being a phallic symbol?
I mean, I'm not sure. I just feel like making a tall statue just because it represents your dick. Like, there's no way that's the only reason that they fucking put a statue up in the middle of their town. Like, that seems very. See, and this is. I don't want to have to take it here, but
Let's go there, bro. Because we're not
Okay.
talking about the ancient Egypt obelisks, like next to the pyramids. They built those for who knows the reason. You know what I mean? We're talking about like the ones we see built on U.S. soil kind of thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
right. Well, I don't know. I look at that and I think that really any of the obelisks all throughout time, not even just the ones that are here in America. Yeah, there's a lot of them here and a lot
Oh,
of
even the ancient ones too.
all
Yeah.
of yeah.
Okay.
I don't think that they had anything to do with their dicks. I think that is
Oh.
something, and not to throw any hate, but there are a lot of Christians out there that look at the tiniest details of any other religion and automatically assume that it is some kind of sex worship or some kind of Satan worship. And it's not always that simple. It's really not all that easy. Whenever you look at, Enki and Enlil, well, they're just the fallen ones. Or you look at the Buddha, well, he was just a fat slob who, whatever. Like it's always, I feel like not anytime, there are a lot of Christians that don't look at it like that. But I feel like the overarching view that we've seen from a lot of Christians that have come on this show is that you look at other religions and automatically you're thinking about, how is this the work of Satan? And I don't think that that's correct, because there are a lot of really interesting religions out there. You look into a lot of the esoteric meanings behind a lot of that kind of stuff, and it is nothing to do with Satan. Dude, I've been practicing witchcraft and magic and like working on certain spells and all that kind of shit. Never once have I called the name Satan, come to me. Like
You don't have to
yeah,
say his
your boy,
name
the
for an
fucking
answer,
Pope.
dude.
Oh
You
no,
know,
I'm talking
Satan
about-
just
I'm talking
means
about the Pope. He's over there
adversary.
singing about it.
Well, yeah,
True.
Satan just means adversary. Just like Baal, which stems from the word Bel, means Lord. And so I don't really believe there's an actual deity named Satan, to be honest with you. I think there's many Satans, you could say, many devils. But and no, dude, you're absolutely right. Who knows? They could be conductors of energy, right? For
I've
a
heard
certain
that,
ley
like their
line, maybe.
radio antennas or something like that.
Yeah,
Ancient
or a water
forms of it.
tower.
Who knows?
It could be a water tower,
I'll say this though, and and I can't speak on behalf of everything of all pagan things. Instantly Satan, instantly sex. I'm not saying.
Yeah,
that,
no, dude. Yeah, no.
But as far as
understand.
Egypt, when you look at the gods they worshipped and the story arcs of it, we've talked about Thoth's cum crown a few times, right?
Oh, God.
Sex and all of these things were like super interwoven into the religion. And it's not like
As it is
that's
with
just what we
Christianity.
believe. Huh?
As
Well,
it
no,
is
no,
with
no.
Christianity.
Our gods weren't incestuous in all of these things. Now, stories from the Bible of humans doing human shit, okay, they're humans. The gods in the pantheon doing wild things. But again, it's not just Egypt. Every pantheon has crazy stories. Some of them have morals to them. Some of them are
dude.
just stories of this is why this is, because fucking it is. Like, I don't know. There's all kinds of it in between.
But here's the thing. The thing is that, Jacob, we started talking about the esoteric kind of stuff earlier. You kind of like to separate yourself from that because you think that is not what the Bible's all about. And you're right to have that belief. But you can't just instantly say that all the other religions, including like ancient Egypt, ancient like Mesopotamia, that kind of philosophy wasn't always exoteric. As a matter of fact, I would venture to say that it was 99% esoteric, meaning that it didn't matter if these people actually walked the earth or whatever. It's the stories and what you garnered from those stories. And so,
Okay.
I mean, yes,
yeah.
did people literally believe in a sun god Ra? Probably there were some people, just like there are
Most of them
probably.
did. They sacrificed their kids over it. Like it wasn't
Well,
a metaphor to them.
they also talk about a time where the gods did walk the earth, or the star
Right.
people, um, those who from heaven fell or came to earth, whatever you want to call them. But no, dude, I actually agree with you, brother.
Huh.
I think there is a lot more of a meaning to a lot of things, and you find a lot of aspects of Buddhism, Zoroastrianism. I probably butchered that name. Um, in Christianity, you know. So
Some yes, some no.
yeah,
We
yeah. I
did an
mean,
episode about Zoroastrianism. It's a fascinating religion. No shade
yeah,
thrown at
yeah.
it whatsoever. Or at the Egyptian religion, for the record. No shade thrown at it. I'm saying that, like, look, if somebody's
Egypt's my
found,
favorite thing to look into, dude. One of my
but
favorite
like
things.
they believe that these gods did walk the earth. The ancient Sumerians, the Nordics, they believe that Odin at one point walked the earth. They didn't think of this as just a metaphor of a story passed down. They believe this to be truth.
But you also have to look at it as they could be archetypes or roles being played.
They got
Uh,
turned into that over time. Sure.
right.
It's got the
Also,
legend of it. Yeah.
right, right. Also, our human characteristics, all our proclivities. We seem to, when you read these stories, they had it first. They were
Yeah.
having sex with anything they pour. So it says pouring their semen into something. And
Yeah.
But yeah, man, no,
Which is
I do think that there's many ways to interpret these stories.
right. And I mean, all gods did that. Look, most of the Greek pantheon, most of the Greek religion, 95% of it, and I'm being generous, is Zeus not being able to keep it in his pants. That's the truth of it. 95% of the Roman religion is Jupiter not being able to keep it in his pants, because it's literally Greek, just with different names. That's not like me saying, well, the whole thing is sex. No, that's their stories. I didn't say that. They did.
Isn't it funny though how most of the like biblical Christian stories stem from like Greek speaking people and people that were from Rome, right? Like, so that's why you would have a lot of crossover. That's why you'd have a lot of paganistic kind of stuff in there, because they were trying to be very inclusive. And that's why, and no shade thrown. I think that, look, if you want to be inclusive, you want to try and wrap as many people into your religion as you possibly can, then you're going to say, yeah, Jesus was born on December 25th. Yeah, he rose 3 days later, would just so happen to
I've been questioning the
intertwine with
25th
Ishtar
thing
and shit.
lately.
Oh no, he wasn't born on December 25th.
Yeah.
That's verified. There's an
So-
argument to say it was sometime in the spring to summer, and then we're hearing more sources saying it was more like September time frame. Honestly, it could have been either or, depends on which thing was being harvested.
There's
Depends on which
theories.
source you're reading.
There's
Yes,
theories
you
that it may have
are-
been September 11th.
Yep,
There's also theories that it may be April Fool's Day.
I've
And
heard
that's why
both
they
of
named it
these.
April Fool's Day, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
man. But no, you're right, Jonathan. Yeah, it's and you know, when you look at the paganism behind Christmas, I'm actually going to do an episode on this, like Santa Claus and the what's it called, the Amanita muscaria mushroom,
Oh yeah, how the
and
Nordics
like the
would
red
pass
and
it through
white
the roof.
symbolism, and the chimney being your spinal cord, and like all
Yeah,
that
man.
stuff, dude. That's gonna be a fun episode. But yeah, you
It's-
see the pagan stuff in Christmas, and people don't even know it, or they won't accept it. Like
But-
me and my wife know, and we actually put up like a real wreath one year that a lot of Christians would have called us pagan for doing. But you know, we
Most of those Christians that do that really need to pull the stick from their ass. Like, yes, I understand bringing in an evergreen tree into your home during this time of year is considered a pagan practice. It's also considered American culture at this point.
yeah,
I'm just
yeah,
saying.
you're right.
Also,
Um,
pagan is such a wide term. If
You're
you
right.
think about it, like literally anybody who wasn't a Christian or a Jew was a pagan.
It's just
the Christians
pre-Yahweh.
and Jews.
Yeah, it's just pre-Yahweh.
Mhm.
Right.
So whenever people say, "Oh, well, it's paganistic values," it's like, all right, listen to how like that sounds wrong, and I'm going to tell you how it sounds wrong. The
Yeah.
reason it sounds wrong is because whenever you got a group of people, let's just say the Christians and the Jews, let's just say Abrahamic religion people, right? Those people are saying, well, everybody that doesn't believe what we believe in, we're now going to label them pagan. So
Yeah.
that means that literally everybody that doesn't believe in you, you're now pushing beliefs on what they all believe collectively. And that's not necessarily the case. Some of them probably did. Some other people, they probably worshiped other shit. There was probably a bunch of people that were into fey magic and people that were into all these other kinds of like forest magic and weird shit. Like, I'm sure that like, and so whenever you say pagan, it's
all the druidic
encompassing-
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all encompassing, and it shouldn't be all encompassing.
You're
It's
right.
the same
No,
with
you're
Jew
right.
and Gentile. It's the same with a Muslim and an infidel. It's the same thing. There's labels. There's same with gypsies. You're either a gypsy or you're a Gorgia. There's the us and them. That's all. It's a label, dude.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. When I think of pagan, I just think of, like you said, like pre-Christian, pre-Roman, Britain, up to Scandinavia, basically. Just those tribes, just the druidic tribes that were all throughout there. But I mean, they not saying that they all were part of the same kind of what you would probably refer to as a mystery school.
I don't know. I consider the Hindus pagan.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the Hindu religion, it's a little different. But I mean,
I don't mean that in a demeaning way. Pagan to me is never meant like, oh, you pagans. Never. And some people
Right,
do.
right.
It's been turned into a demeaning term, and I hate that. I mean it to mean literally anything. It could be Nordic, it could be Gaelic, it could be Hindu, it could be Buddhist. Okay, so you worship something other than me. Cool. I get it.
Outside of the Bible is pagan, is basically
Yeah.
okay.
Basically.
I don't think that it's a negative like kind of connotation. I would happily carry the term pagan on my name, dude.
But it depends on the
Well, that's-
context. Like you
yeah.
said, paganistic views. Now, real shit. Let's just have that talk. You mean most morality of the entire earth up until this point? Paganistic views. Now, there are some groups of pagans with horrible views that do in fact do like child sacrifice, rape as a part of their culture, child brides, mutilation. Yeah. We need to fucking roast those people. Yes. But paganistic views. First of all, I know multiple Nordic pagans, and their view of morality and ethics and how to behave and how to speak and how to treat people and how to raise children, gonna be honest with you, looks very similar to me as a Christian. Just saying.
You could say a lot of pagans have carry more Christian values than a lot of Christians, right?
Now let's
I
ask
mean-
this. Is that a Western culture thing or is that a religious dogma thing?
I don't know,
Or
man.
did they learn how to be people without needing a religion to keep them in line?
But that's my point. Was it just culture? Society taught them that. Because then we make the argument that Western society is Christian society because most of the Western culture is based off of Catholicism, whether we want to acknowledge that or not. So it's like, then it gets real murky. You know what I mean?
It's always been you are who you surround yourself with, right? Like if you're like a good person, you surround yourself with good people, and you just so happen to be I don't know, fucking Hindu or something like that. That doesn't mean that you're going to be a bad person, you know, coming from the perspective of a Christian, right? Like it just means that, oh, there's somebody else that can have decent values that doesn't have
just
to
have different
value what I
beliefs.
value.
Yeah, they just have different beliefs. And it's the same thing you could say with people saying the Illuminati when it's really like these like hundreds of these different mystery schools and these occult groups. And when you really get into it, you see that, you know. So yeah, it's the same thing with labeling everything that's not Judeo-Christian pagan. So,
I'm not trying to come in here and be like a Karen. And for the record,
you're not.
for the record, I am wearing a nicotine patch and I'm chewing nicotine gum because I quit vaping a couple days ago.
Oh,
So I've been on all edge for a
I'm
fucking
sorry.
minute. So
was gonna say-
you guys are having to
dude, I
fucking
love
get
this,
that
bro.
shit
To
off.
be honest with you guys, this is the first podcast I've done where there's like someone with like a different, I don't know,
Alternate view.
yeah, like I kind of like it, man. I really
This
like
is why we do this, dude, because
I like
he
it.
and
I like it,
we
man.
see eye to eye on like the big shit, on the like the real important. Like, okay, first of all, pedophiles need to rot. Like we can all agree on that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Calling out the elites, calling out the government officials, bop, bop, bop. We agree on these things. But on these types of things, dude, this is never an echo chamber. It literally can't be.
And there's people that I watch that I don't really agree with completely. Adam Green being one of them, and he's a pagan.
Yeah.
Yeah. No
Dude,
more
I watch
news, dude.
Rogan. I
He
disagree
puts
with
the best-
half the shit he says. I get it.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. So
But how
you
boring
don't
is
always
it?
have to agree.
How
Huh?
boring is it to put yourself in an echo chamber where everybody agrees with you? Like
Mhm.
that is, I never want to be in that kind of group. And that's probably what like magnetically pulled me and Jacob together, was because neither one of us really like being in those echo chambery kind of groups, because we like to believe that like, yo, we got, you know, we're not just people that are following the masses. We're not just saying what we're saying because one of our favorite people said it first and we like them, so we're gonna have the same kind of opinion. No, like miss us with that bullshit. Like
Yeah.
this is open-minded communication, and
I
this
love
is
it,
why we
man.
got on the mic in the first place, because we feel as if we're probably, I'm not going to say we're special by any means, but we're different than a lot of other podcasters out there, because there are a lot of podcasters out there where you're going to have 2 or 3 or 4 hosts and they all think the same exact thing. You may as well just don't let me say that. You may as well just have one host at that point, right?
I mean, it's true. I mean, look, if you just do that, no one's ever going to learn anything. Even I have learned a fuck ton from Jonathan. I'm assuming he's learned a fuck ton from me, and we collectively have learned a metric fuck ton from every single guest that we've had on. Right? And that's how growth happens. Uncomfortable conversations, getting into each other's shit, digging deeper into things, not just letting it lie. Like, dude,
Yeah.
that is how information can get shared. That's how real education can happen. And that is how possibly a shred of some growth can happen across the board. And I mean, I'm not saying that we are making that happen, but the fact that we might be contributing, I mean, I love it. I really do.
It's awesome, man.
Hell yeah, dude. That's what
Um,
we're all about. So, all right, Jules, I want to ask you a couple of awesome questions now.
Yeah, bro.
And we tried to hit on it a little bit earlier. What is this whole talk about Elohim? Because I do have a story that relates to the Elohim. I'm not going to, I'll give you the spark notes to it. I did a superheroes dosage of mushrooms one evening by myself. Wasn't supposed to be that way. I was supposed to be sharing it with somebody else, but I ended up just being like, they didn't feel
They
like
bailed.
they
Snooze,
bailed.
you lose, dog.
Yeah, so you know, I got a little munched out and I ate
More
the
for you. Yeah.
so anyway, I I ate the rest of these mushrooms, which was, I don't know, like a lot. I couldn't even tell you.
What kind were they?
What's that?
What kind were they?
Hydroponics.
The basic little browns.
Penis envy.
No, yo, I did get my hands on some apes once upon a time. Those things
I've-
there. Yeah,
dude. I've had penis envy, albino,
albino penis envy,
buffalo
bro.
caps, Amazon. Like, dude, I've had a couple from Southeast Asia. Been a
Damn.
while. Been a while. I need to take a trip soon.
I feel like it's kind of gay to say that you have penis envy. First of
Yes, probably a little gay, maybe a little gay.
all. So
Just a little
anyway,
gay.
So anyway, I did a bunch of mushrooms one night, and long story short, I went to go lay down in my bed because I was really tired of tripping. You know, mushrooms can last
Yeah.
6-7 hours sometimes.
Exhaustion.
And I was like, dude, just let me fall asleep. And I went to go lay in my bed, and I hear like this trumpet voice, and it announces itself as the Elohim. And before I know it, I'm asking it questions, and it's answering literally before I can even finish asking the question. And it was like, it went on for like over 100 questions. I don't remember exactly what they were, but I do remember feeling very comforted in what direction I was headed in afterward. And so, yeah, so that's why whenever you mentioned the whole Elohim, I was like, let's see what you got here with the Elohim, dude. Because I
Yeah,
definitely
dude.
ride with him.
Well, it's really just I should probably know like the real definition of the Elohim. I do know it pertains to, let's see. Do you want to get like a actual definition? Because I can tell you my interpretation of what I think they are. Now I think the Elohim are just so okay. So angel means messenger, right? In Greek, messenger
Also
from
could also mean Elohim. And that's where it gets very
right, right.
scuttled up, is where, angels
So
are referred to as Elohim. God is referred to him as Elohim. And there's they and we kind of talk whenever you're speaking of the Elohim. And that's why I kind of wanted your interpretation of it.
yeah, well, the Elohim, I think, is plural, meaning like a collective of angels. And I do believe that there's some good, um, and some bad, right? Now, could that be because of maybe they were sent here to guide humanity in a way and maybe I don't know, try to masquerade? Because I mean, I don't know, if you're an advanced being and you're from somewhere else, you're of a higher consciousness. I don't know. I'd probably like it if people worship me too, right? I mean, if in that time, especially, um, so
A
I
hundred
I
percent.
I
So,
really just think, what's up?
well, let me ask you this now, because in Genesis, if you go back to the original translation, it does say in the beginning, Elohim created. So it's talking about where you would see the normal translation as God. It says
The
Elohim
gods
created.
created the heavens and the earth.
So,
Yeah.
are you of the belief that God is plural?
I think it's more of the belief that that story. So when you read the story of what I would call the Elohim, the fallen Elohim, um, you see that they may have taken creation and manipulated it, and that's where you get hybrids from. That's where you get fallen angelic races, even cryptids. You could say. Um, that's something that I'm kind of still looking into, dude. And the same thing goes with when people give a name to the creator, like Yahweh or Jehovah, because Jehovah's Witness was started by Charles Taze Russell of the Russell Illuminati bloodline,
Right.
right? And they're worshiping Jehovah. Jay Z is called Jehovah. So, I mean, I think when you give God too many names, you turn it into, I, I don't know, or when you give an entity too many names, you kind of turn it into something else. I just like to call him the creator. That's something that I'm just, kind of questionable about, and I have been, right. Um, Now that doesn't change my belief that Christ came here, you know, uh, from the Creator.
Well, most believe the Elohim being plural would mean like Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, like kind of thing. Like let us create men in our image would be like the three in one thing.
Do most believe that, Jacob? Is
I
that
would say most Christians understand that when
Yeah.
we're speaking about God in the beginning, there was once God and the Word was God, and that's like the whole point. That would be the Holy Spirit, right? We
Right,
have
right, right.
God, the Father, and then we have the Son, who He sent to earth to be the sacrifice, and then the Holy Spirit that moves through both of them. And that's like, again, per
Yeah, yeah, no, dude.
where I'm at with it. But again, it could also mean because God gave so many names to call Him.
You may be more grounded in your beliefs than I am. Like as
No, that's
far
my
as
opinion.
yeah, 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 yeah. But dude, I mean, it's just stuff that I question, man. I question quite a lot, probably too much, right? I mean,
Not
um,
necessarily, dude. You're supposed to question
well,
shit.
yeah, well, it's these translations and stuff. Everything has been rewritten so much over time, changed in some way, or so that's why I think the Bible is very important on getting to Christ, getting in touch with that Holy Spirit. But as far as their relationship with Christ, I think you can find knowledge in those texts, but I think it is more of a spiritual thing, something you have to do every day in your life,
Agreed.
right?
Agreed. It's a
Trying to,
walk.
yeah. I mean, Nate, you'll never be perfect, right?
Nope.
But that's the point, is to constantly have faith,
Yep.
right? And to stay walking in that light. So,
100%.
like I said, man, there's some Christians that probably don't like me. Uh, that's their problem.
Look,
Yeah.
most Christians probably wouldn't agree with most other Christians, I would venture, because I'm not going to lie to you. We've talked to a lot of Christians on this show, and
Do they
Jake
all love
is
you?
about I mean, I'm not going to
No.
say they love me, but I would say that, like, absolutely, like,
Half
just
of them
seeing it-
hate me.
well, that's what I was going to say, is that just looking at the conversations between a Christian guest
love
that
it,
we get
man.
on and
I
Jacob,
love this.
most of the time they're different philosophies and different ways of looking at the Bible, and it didn't mean this, no, it meant this, and it's not necessarily an argument or a battle or anything. It's just, two different personalities coming together and trying to make sense of this ancient doctrine that we call
Right,
the Bible. And that's, which is fun. It's fun, like, seeing the different people and saying, this is what I believe out of it. No, this is what I believe about it, because that's where I find most of my, like, Christian knowledge is on the show. Like, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And I'm not a Christian, but I'm always here to listen to it. And I love hearing whenever people bring up, like, what they found in the Bible, some of the crazy stories and some of the crazy connections, that even, like, the connections with Christianity and other religions. Like, I find that pretty fascinating as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that is fascinating, dude. And you see it with the Old Testament, like with what you were saying. Um, People were fucked up in the Old Testament, man.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's why I believe the New Testament is a little more important, as well as it's a new covenant, right? So, not to forget the old covenant, but um, yeah, and there's a lot we could go into with that, with the 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 U's. I don't know if y'all talk
You-
about the
So you
the
listen to
JQ
Brandon
stuff.
Kroll, I see.
huh?
So you know who Brandon Kroll is?
I haven't talked to Brandon, but I saw him on NDS and he went on Reality Czars.
Yeah.
But I haven't. I did just have Dustin Nemos on.
Okay.
So that was interesting. He's a pretty cool guy. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of impossible to not get into that stuff, especially when you're talking about the culture right now and what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, all eyes are really on one place, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
Talking about Israel.
Yeah.
Why are all eyes there?
I guess it depends on which side of the aisle you're asking, though. Because if you ask the
we could-
Democrats, all eyes are in Ukraine and Iran.
We could get into that, man. All eyes are on there because, I mean, we're sending all our money there, right?
In Ukraine, you mean?
Oh, Ukraine. There's two proxy wars that we're funding, I think.
For sure.
Yeah, dude. I think, I don't know, man. And is there something to the ISIS Rael, right? Yeah.
I have heard a little bit of
Just
stuff like that.
Just like with Genesis, the generations of ISIS. When you recognize etymology, man, it's something you have to question, right? And it may be uncomfortable, but something I have to deal with in my own life. But yeah, man, I
Wow.
mean, I don't know. I think in the last year, a lot of people have woken up to, I don't know, the strings being pulled in our world that have been being pulled for a long time now. And when you recognize a lot of the ancient mystery schools, they all go back to the Kabbalah, right?
They do.
All the Kabbalic mysticism. Yeah. Freemasonry is Jewish. Solomon was a Jew. Yeah,
As the
man.
book Morals and Dogma says, without the Kabbalah, what is Freemasonry?
There you go, brother. Yeah,
Yep.
man. So you gotta you gotta look at that stuff, and also the whole thing. You have the theory of Trump being the Moshiach, right? Meaning the Messiah.
Okay, so what have you found on this regard? Because I'm gonna be honest with you, half the people believe that he is the Antichrist, half the people believe he's the actual Messiah, and then there's normal people who are like, "Bro, what are y'all talking about?"
Right. I think we're there in the middle. Like, what are y'all talking about?
So from your angle and from your level of research, what have you found on this? Which side looks like it might have a little more credence than the other to you personally? Where you at?
Well, dude, I mean, you can see that there are like top tier rabbis out there calling him their Moshiach,
Mm,
like straight up, just like Trump is the Messiah, like all that, and you're just like, whoa, dude, because Christ wasn't their Messiah. Um, he was a liar and a thief to most Jews, right?
mm,
And when you read, I mean, you can talk about the Talmud, and the Talmud is misquoted. They put those fake memes out there to kind of like, I mean, if you try to bring it up to a Jew, they'll be like, "That's not real. That's not real. That's not real." But some of those are real, and when you read it, that a lot of the shit is real. It's real,
Oh,
real
dude.
well hidden, right?
Look at Ari Shafir. He was in, you know who that is, huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The comedian, dude. He
Yeah,
was in
yeah, I
rabbinical
know Ari.
school and then left it all. I think he's an atheist these days, but like he did a whole comedy special called The Jew, or I think just Jew. And he brought up all these ridiculous rules that are in the Talmud that like he broke down the correct context. And it's this whole thing. It's like, yo, some of those you're correct are out of context and horribly misquoted. Some of those are not. Some of those are actually true to form. It's
You're
wild.
absolutely right. The real fucked up ones are not, right? Like
It's wild, dude.
It's wild, dude. And
But the same can be said about Islam too. I saw this one thing. It was like 20 quotes from the Quran, and it talked about how find the infidels where you can and hook them by their bellies and all these things, right? Yeah. Some of those on this list were misquoted because if you look at the context that this was talking about, they had just been attacked by these people. They were about to go get retribution. There was like a whole thing to it. But then there were other ones that were absolutely not out of context, were absolutely what we were thinking they were trying to say. And basically, they think all infidels should be slaughtered or forced to convert. And that's like a real thing. And it's like, okay, cool. And then there are others from the Old Testament, same shit. Some of them horribly misquoted. Some of them not so much.
Yeah, dude. You're absolutely right, man. And so I guess it's like a question of like, is it Jewish supremacy? Yeah, I think it is. I mean, that's why they refer to everyone who's a Gentile as a goy, right? Which means cattle. And so, like we're just their work slaves, basically. Like, and they'll admit to that. Like we do all the work out in the real world, and they sit up, running all the corporations and all this stuff, and just kind of, watch everything play out. And they'll admit to this stuff, bro. Like,
bro, to our homie on the front lines in Israel, Jonathan, I just remembered he came on our show once upon a time. He's in Israel. We have been going on, not just this episode, multiple episodes about this type of topic. I'm wondering what his like thoughts are on this.
I don't know. He's been getting smoked in my fantasy football league, though.
Yo, has he?
Yeah, he started out strong, but then like a lot of his players got injured, and I don't know. He might be fighting a war and not setting his lineup, which that's okay.
God,
I guess.
Pick your priorities, dude. Fantasy football or the front line. Come on now.
I mean, I feel like there's a world where there's time for both. Personally,
I feel like there should be. Learn to time manage better, bro. Come on.
I mean, just check it while you're on the computer in the morning, at least, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, is he still fighting?
I suppose he is. He was only down for that short period of time. Then he said he was getting back out there.
So I wonder, all right, because, and not just to that one homie, but like there's tons of people. REA. I'm wondering how they feel about the whole Jewish supremacy thing. because like it's not them. It's obviously like Rothschild. It's obviously like that echelon of these people. But like,
There's a Rothschild Boulevard in Israel, right?
correct.
Victor
correct.
Rothschild did the Balfour Declaration through Lord Balfour.
Do we know if David is the new patriarch? I think they named him as the new one ever since Jacob died.
David Roth, that's Evelyn's son, right?
I think so. So is he the new son? He's the new head of the family?
There's Nathaniel, who's Jacob's son. And this is one of the first things when I started doing research back when I got clean. I dived it into the bloodlines and like who these families were, their story, like all this stuff. And so there's Nathaniel, who's the son of Jacob, and then there is David, who's the son of
Nathaniel's
Evelyn.
an idiot, though, isn't he? Like he's
I think
not.
he is. Yeah.
The inbreeding went a little deep on that one.
Yeah.
Like if I'm not mistaken, and if I'm wrong, then fuck it, it's a Rothschild. Doesn't matter. But like I'm just saying, if I'm not mistaken, because you know they can only marry second cousins or closer. That's how they kept it.
That's why what's his name married a Hilton.
Exactly.
Yeah. John,
right. So
John, or not John. What the fuck's his name? I think he may be the son of the Rothschild that hanged himself. James the Rothschild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like
yeah.
Nathaniel, like
Hanged
there
himself,
was
right?
Yeah, right. Hung, quote unquote.
Hung.
Yeah.
Hung.
But they were talking about maybe Nathaniel would take it, but like no one thought that was a smooth move for the family. I want to say they named David as the new head. Could be wrong. Maybe they did give it to old Nate.
Well, he's the one out there doing all his global warming shilling and shit,
Which
so
I feel like that's kind of why they did, because he's young. He's still out there. He's still getting it.
He kind of looks like Jesus, right?
Exactly. And so if you've already got that going on and you've got that type of fortune behind you, like he has the energy to push the family through the next 50 years. You know what I mean?
Right.
Who knows?
They lived for a while, dude.
They had that longevity.
JJ lived for quite some time.
It was wild when he died. He died in his 70s. They usually live to their 90s. There was a big talk if there was some controversy around his death. But as far as every record I could find, this was from natural causes. Nothing looked awry. But speaking of random deaths, have y'all heard about the assassination in New York City?
I was going to ask y'all about that. What happened? Because I've seen the stills of the motherfucker on the camera, and he's just like real kind of like no homo, but like kind of handsome.
He looks happy.
Yeah, it looks very happy.
But then there's another still frame of a completely different dude wearing the same coat. And it's like, wait, that's not even the right guy. I'm hearing people say, oh, this dude had prior training. You could tell by the way he held the pistol. But then the gun jammed 3 fucking times. I don't know an assassin that would have that happen.
That's shit work, man.
That's what I'm saying. Like, was this like the D squad you sent out for this
dude?
hit?
Yeah.
Fucking amateur hour out here, boys. Wild shit.
He just capped the United States. Who was it again?
The head of the healthcare, dude. It was like United Healthcare CEO. Right? Yeah.
Didn't he fuck over tons of like lower class families and like middle class families?
Oh my God, these fucking idiots, bro. All right, bro. The news, the mainstream media is saying there seems to be no clear motive as to why all right, pause. This is the CEO of United Healthcare. They are the largest healthcare insurance brokerage on earth. Hard pause on that. The CEO of this organization gets shot outside of a hotel at a charity event. And you think that there was no motive? That's right off the rip preposterous. Then we find out, oh, wait a minute, he's indicted for like, was it 12 billion or some shit? He and his buddies are being indicted for like a massive Ponzi scheme. Yeah. So it's like,
dude, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, no, that's gonna start coming out in the next couple of days. I'm telling you, bro, it's a wild time to be alive. It's not even a political assassinations. They're going for insurance CEOs now. The fucking bullets had words on them. What was it like? Disrupt, Disturb and
Dispose.
Dispose.
Yeah, yeah.
Bro.
Wow, dude, that's kind of cryptic, bro.
Uh-huh.
Well,
Yeah,
and if
man.
you look at the if you look at mainstream media reporting it, they are all, getting in lockstep saying the same exact thing. If you check out AP News, this is actually Isaac Weisup posted this the other day, which I love
Shout
him.
out Isaac, man.
But it says AP News reported United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson kept a low profile. Then he was shot. Then you check out the Telegraph. Brian Thompson, the health insurance lifer who kept a deliberately low profile. Check out PBS. United Healthcare CEO kept a low public profile before he was killed in a New York attack. CBS News. Who was Brian Thompson? The United Healthcare CEO shot dead in Manhattan. And it's like, and then you got INC.com. Slain United Healthcare CEO kept a low profile before his shocking killing. Like, why is it so important that you get out the message that he was keeping a low profile? That's what I want.
Right.
Yeah.
Nobody knew who this guy was. It's not like this is Tony Stark. He's not some playboy billionaire philanthropist. It's like, oh, he who? He died? No one knows this fucking guy's name, bro. Like, of course he kept a low profile. He's a billionaire. But all the news media, they got to keep that rolling. They just got to keep more words, send words, throw more things at the wall just to see what sticks until we find out more.
Yeah, because it keeps people from questioning what may have really happened, right? And looking into it more, which schizos are like and autists are just gonna go do.
Oh,
Yeah, you're speaking to two professional autists, dude. We weaponize
man.
our shit.
Me too, brother.
wait, what? No, it is interesting. And whenever I see shit like that, it makes me wonder how many of these mainstream media articles are written by AI. Like where you only type in a couple of keywords,
Yes.
and then it writes the whole thing for you. It
Yep.
makes me think whenever you got like, yeah, I know that there's a lot of news that, they kind of get like their information from the top down. So a lot of your local news is going to be literally reading almost word for word. If it's something that's happened nationally, it's going to be reading word for word from whatever was trickled down to them. But this kind of thing right here, it seems a little bit different as far as like maybe AI.
Do you remember the Hollywood writers' strike because AI was taking their jobs? Bro, every reporter that's like, got a million things they're trying to do, of course I'll throw some AI on a thing to get an article written to meet a deadline. For sure, why not? You got to stay competitive. It doesn't even shock me if AI wrote every one of those, to be honest with you.
It's probably the case because these people are so unoriginal, bro. They just been parroting the same old bullshit and nobody's listening to them. And if nobody's listening to them, that means their ratings are going down. And if their ratings are going down, then they're not making any money on their TV shows or any of their articles because nothing you say is even clickbaity anymore because you've been proven false and steering an agenda for years now. And I think the majority of people are just kind of fed up with it. So what do you do instead of having to pay some kind of journalist or some kind of publisher or somebody like that? Well, just hire AI. It's free. And that AI doesn't really, it doesn't matter. Like if this article gets 1 click or 5 million clicks, that AI, it doesn't really matter. Like it's not getting paid one way or another either way, right?
Yeah, dude. The mainstream media is cooked, bro. Like it's a wrap for them.
Yeah.
But it's crazy how you can get AI to literally like write or create anything for you now. Like any image. It's fucking wild, dude. I remember when they really got big these past couple years and all these like cryptid these fake cryptid images and stuff were coming out and giants and all that. It's very discrediting, to people who have been looking into that shit for a while. I do a cryptid show. That's my last show I didn't mention earlier, called Cryptid Watch, where on every other Sunday, so like next Sunday, I go live on Rumble and like hang out with my chat and just watch cryptid videos for a couple hours. It's good shit. And talk about like the relations between cryptids and like where they may have come from and a lot because like what I was saying earlier in the Sumerian stories, especially with Enki and Thoth, who his earlier name was Ningajita. Is like the middle child of Inky. They were creating hybrids, right? Like all these humanoids and stuff. And in the story it says they were naming them like Adamu and Adapa, which would be like Adam, right? But all these other creations, like they all had these like abnormalities about them. So they would just let them go, right? Like hundreds of different hybrids and stuff. So that's one way to look at it.
What are your sources for that?
For what?
For pretty much that entire spectrum of thinking, so to speak.
Oh no, that's just the Sumerian stories and
Gotcha.
the interpretation of like this tablet called Inky and the World Order.
Got you.
Which is mostly, Sitchin translated or wrote, and like a lot of people don't like him, so you have to kind of, that's why I question some of what he writes. I have some healthy skepticism about it. I just find the similarities in these other stories to be uncanny, dude. Like in all these other
Planet
texts.
X.
Huh?
Shout out to Planet X.
Shout out Planet X, which may be a dimension.
Okay.
I've looked at Nibiru as a dimension, dude. Maybe. Or
it's very well possible, dude. I think as far as like who knows what the hell Zechariah Sitchin was, or is it Zechariah? I think
Zechariah Sitchin. Yeah, dude. And
it's pretty crazy either way, but I did want to get your opinion on it. As far as the cryptids, and whenever you talk about Bigfoot, and just name your cryptid, really. But do you believe that they're all Nephilim?
That's a fair question, because we have had a lot of different people run the gambit on this. Like, are we talking Bigfoot and Nessie and the Jersey Devil, or
Dude,
what do we mean, bro?
I mean, here's what I'm talking about: portals and stuff. I think some of these cryptids, these creatures, may come from other places. Now, I think when you look at the Nephilim, now this comes from the Agigi angels, like the lesser watcher angels. You had the Nephilim, but you also had other tribes of giants, right? You had the Rephaim, you had the Anakim, and a couple other ones. But the Nephilim had kids, and I think they're called the Nephil, and then the Elho, and this is they basically, like, the description next to them in one of the books that I have is of like a caveman, and the other one looking like a Sasquatch, right? So I think maybe some cryptids may stem from ancient races of giants. Yeah, I think that could be possible. Now, all of them, I do think Mothman may be like a fallen angel or something, like some race. Like, dude, it's a lot to get into. That's one of the fucking best things about it, though.
What do you feel about Chupacabra?
Chupacabra, dude. Chupacabra.
I'm just kidding. Blood sucking. Where are you going with this, bro?
Nah, bro. I'm just kidding. Dude, I mean, that could go back to some hybrid animal. Also, when you look at Dogman, I mean, there's ancient stories of Dogman, right? Like,
bro, I'm so glad you brought up Dogman. Jonathan, we need to get Scott Pace back on. I was just talking to somebody about him the other day. Sasquatch, Dogman. We got to do this.
I got to get somebody on to talk about cryptids.
Well, we'll hook you up with old Scotty, because
we got a guy for you.
Okay, typically Scotty doesn't know, but this Scotty does, and this guy knows all there is to know about Bigfoot and Dogman. He has little baby Bigfoots running around in his house and shit, allegedly.
This man. Now, some people agree with him and believe him 100%. Some people very much don't. He knows all of it. He's gotten all of the hate, whatever. But you, being a man who looks into the Bible, you know what a shofar is? Or a shofar? The two horn thing? Right? Yes. So he says that he went out, and I forget what the name of the desert was, somewhere out west. And if you blow on this thing, this is a homing beacon, and it's like the sound of war. And the Sasquatch and the tree folk. Don't
The
want
Fey
to
folk.
discredit. No, not Fey folk.
Oh,
The
they're
tree people.
different. Oh,
They live
shit.
within the trees. These are not like wood elves. We're talking Sasquatch here, but they consider themselves the wood people. And the dogmen that protect them, all speaking telepathically, will come to your aid. There is a group of people out there that believe that is what brought down the walls of Jericho. I don't know.
He's somebody
yo-
who believes in the invisible Bigfoot and the invisible Dogman.
I believe in
because-
interdimensional Bigfoot. Yeah, bro.
Right. Well,
I
and
also
the
believe they may
idea-
be the guardians of Hollow Earth.
Sure.
Right. Well, the idea is that within the Bible, what was there, like forces seen and unseen, right?
Right.
He brought up a quote where it said, "I am the God of all things seen and unseen." Now, some people would mean the physical realm and the angelic realm, right? Some people believe that this does, in fact, refer to the interdimensional cryptid beings that we may or may not have jumping in and out of time and space. And like, I mean, who really knows? But yo, you want a guest to talk about these things, bro? We got a guy.
I'm interested in the wood people, dude. I want to know about them. Y'all, well, what do y'all know about them?
You're close enough. You could come to the camping trip with us.
I fucking could, dude. Holy
Look,
shit. Hell, I didn't even
Kasachi-
think about that, dude.
Kasachi National Forest is where this tribe lives, according to our boy Scott. He has invited us to go camping out there to meet them for ourselves. We haven't had time or resources to do it, but one day soon. Look, you're right there in Mississippi, bro. It's just a
Dude.
skip and a hop over
Bro,
for you.
I'm down.
We're talking
as fuck,
North
man.
Louisiana.
Okay. No, me and my wife will come, dude. She's the one that got me into all this stuff, you know.
Bro, let's
Oh,
get Nick out there and see
And she's
Pleiadians
starting
while
her
we're
own
at it. Let's
podcast
do
soon
this.
too. So y'all have to come on sometime, man. So do y'all ever go live or anything?
Tuesday night.
You said Tuesday nights. Okay. Y'all should come on a Friday night on my podcast or something. We can go live on Rumble, dude. We'll have a bunch of people there. It'd be fun.
Okay.
But yeah, dude. Me and my wife have been talking about going to what's it called? Bienville National Forest.
Yeah, dude.
Like 45 minutes, an hour south of here. There's Sasquatches there. Also, Taylor, Mississippi, up there by
Okay.
Oxford. There's a dog man up there. And there's apparently, if you go on YouTube and look, just type in the Taylor dog man, there's a picture on a video that it shows, dude. You should
Shut
look it up. What?
Jonathan, let's do this because I got the thing about Billy Carson pulled up from earlier. But
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
I could,
Yeah, no.
I want to look up this Dogman thing, the Taylor, Mississippi Dogman video.
Yeah, the Taylor dog man.
What is happening here? Whoa.
Is it
That
this
first
kind
one.
of creature?
That
This
first one. Yeah.
Oh yeah, alleged Dogman, Taylor, Mississippi. Holy shit, that thing's terrifying.
Exactly. It looks very, very gruesome, dude.
Bro, that's the thing that came after our boy Scott. The Sasquatch had to call it off because it was about to fucking kill him, dude.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
All right. So while we're on the topic of the Sasquatch and the Dogman, the reason why I asked you is if you believe that all of these kind of cryptids are Nephilim from their ancestry, whatever. When do you think? I'm trying to get like a timeline here.
I got you.
And this could be something that's very well known amongst people. Maybe I just don't know. But around when did the fallen angels come down and mate with everything? Was that before Adam and Eve or after Adam and Eve?
So in their story, it was in the times of it. They were already here. There was another faction of them on Mars, the Ajiji, led by Enki's oldest son, Marduk, who you could also call Bel, Mars, Merodach, Azazel. And he was leading these worker Anunnaki, basically. The whole thing with the gold mining. Mars was a way station for them. But when you look at other esoteric teachings, they talk about Semyaza or Samael. Well, okay, so I used to think that Semyaza was the same as Samael. I was told by a viewer of one of the shows that I do that Samael was was the earlier class of angels that fell. That's when I equated him with Enki, because Enki was the first of the fallen to come to Earth. Okay, I take that back. It was a Nibirian exiled king named Alelu. Y'all seen the face on Mars, right?
On Venus,
and
huh?
no, there's a face on Mars and a pyramid on Mars.
Okay.
From what they've shown us, right?
Yeah.
Now we don't know if that's fake and gay.
Sure.
Could be some other land on Earth that we don't know about, right?
Okay.
There's a lot of ways to look at it. That's why I say, like, I don't subscribe like to the Sitchin story when I'm doing my Anunnaki episodes. I kind of do, but I also throw in stuff like this all the time, just to kind of question it.
Yeah.
But apparently that's the tomb of Lelu, who like wrestled with Anu for kingship over Earth, and he bit Anu's penis off in the wrestling match, apparently. And my
Okay.
co-host Adrian thinks it's metaphoric. I think they were being gay. So I don't
That's
know.
what I'm saying.
I don't
It's
know.
hard to not say that the religion was sex based whenever
They would
like
do
that's
these
a
ancient
critical
wrestling
cornerstone.
They would do these ancient wrestling matches where they would get naked.
Somehow
wrestle
Mars
each
is
other.
fake and gay, but this is like whatever. I don't even know, bro. I don't even know.
Yeah, man. No, this is just one. This is just a translation of a story. It could all be wrong. But the Inky, and everything he did, he poured his semen, it said, into so they were already humans on Earth when they got there, right?
Mm.
When you look back at Lemuria and Atlantis, it lines up with Lemuria being pre-Atlantis. Atlantis was an Anunnaki civilization. I have a theory, or I've heard a theory, and I kind of agree with it, that it may have been a worldwide civilization, and that island was just the capital. Now, in the story, that would be pre-biblical, right? Or maybe going on at the same time, just not included. Well, because it talks about Thoth or whatever going to Egypt afterwards, after the fall of Atlantis.
But I mean, the Bible is taken from the perspective of the Hebrews, of the Jews, and like
Exactly.
they were in Egypt. So like stuff was popping in Europe, stuff was popping
Yeah.
in what we now call Japan, but like the Bible was only talking about that one spot. So I mean, who's to say, right?
Yeah, dude. And there was probably a lot more, like in antiquity, probably a lot more landmass too, right? Because it was all one at one time. And that's why I think where we live may have been fit right into the Fertile Crescent right there.
Talking
Right
about the more land,
Florida.
bro. Yeah.
Florida. Where did that go? Right?
To
Because there's
Cuba.
theories that Florida is the Garden of Eden.
I've heard people say that the Mississippi River is the Nile of this hemisphere.
Dude.
I've heard that before as well, which makes
Yeah,
where
man.
I live literally the Nile River Delta of this hemisphere, which is dope. But I wanted to ask you, hold on, shit.
Sorry, bro. I go from
What we
one
talking
thing to another
No,
sometimes.
I know, but
need
it
to
was
slow
on this topic.
Yeah, bro.
Shit.
No.
What were we
Whatever
talking
it
about
is.
before that?
The mating with the women.
Well, oh,
Yeah, go ahead.
well, look, the reason why I asked what I asked, I wasn't sure that you were going to go down in the Sitchin kind of understanding, but just from a biblical understanding, like according to, like, let's just lay out a timeline. The fallen ones came down.
Both.
So the fallen
That
ones came
was-
down before Adam and Eve and after Adam.
And yes, there were classes of them that came down, and it was the sons of the original ones that were there. That's where you get the Watcher Angels. Now, they, like I told y'all earlier, they do refer to the Creator as the Creator of all, and they know He's pissed, right? Like they're like, yeah, the Creator of all is not going to be happy. They don't give him a name.
Mhm.
They don't refer to him by name. That's why, like, I don't know. But they used to be like regents of heaven, right? Like they had some place in a higher and a hierarchy somewhere, where they carried out acts and deeds for the creator of all, and they went against them, and they know this. They
Right.
know that they fall, right? Um, the first recorded, like, so all the second class of the Watcher Angels came down for Marduk's wedding to an Earth woman. And this made Marduk like the Satan of the Anunnaki. Like they all hated him for doing this, not knowing that Inky was already doing this with Earth women before. And
Mhm.
so like that's where you get them as the adversaries and stuff. It's just and then when you look in the Bible, you see Marduk is Bel, his son Nabu is Nebo. There's little etymology right there. Um, so yeah, there's different falls that take place. Now, I mean, I don't know if y'all subscribe to the idea that it's a lot older than 4 or 6,000 years, because I do.
So, right. I believe that the Earth is definitely older than 10,000 years old, like for sure. Now I'm not saying 4.6 billion either. Like I think that's a unfathomable number of time for the
Oh,
human
right,
mind to
right,
wrap
right,
around.
right,
But like
right.
Which
talking
they
about the
did just
lost
find
land,
out. They
that's
did
what I was
just find
gonna
out that
get
it's
to.
double that actually.
Oh, real? Of course they did, because carbon or something. I don't know. But look, hold on. So you were talking about more land from back in the day. Now, have you heard of Doggerland?
I've heard of it. I haven't looked into it.
Bro, the lost land to the north of Europe. It was a massive plot of like really fertile land. They've started dredging it and all this. It's under a peat bog. So pretty much the entire civilization's like been preserved. But basically, the glacial melting from about 12,000 years ago mixed with a giant tidal wave that came, which they know there was a giant glacial shift that happened off the coast of Sweden that sent like a massive tidal wave, and they can like track the time frame of this. But come to find out, there was an entire civilization lost to the north of Europe. And then we know now because of like population records of like whenever the Greeks or the Romans or whatever got to the northern European area, why was it so densely populated whenever like there wasn't good farmland there? Why was there, how was there this many people? It's like, oh, because they all migrated there only 100 years ago from more land to the north that's now underwater. But it's only like 40 feet underwater. No one has known this entire time. No one thought to look. How much more of that shit do we have around the world?
You're
Lands
right.
that connect, things like that. 100%, bro.
Yeah, dude. And I mean, there's what, 70% water, and we've only explored 15% of it.
Right.
Like,
It's
we don't know
insane.
what's under there. There may be civilizations. That's what I think about inside the earth. I think, yeah, you have your magma and your lava on some levels, but I think there's parts that open up that are continent size.
Sure.
Um,
So you believe in hollow earth and lava and magma and all that?
I believe that it may be like an outer layer that but I don't believe the whole inside of the earth is just lava and magma. You know. Yeah,
Okay.
dude, I have my own theories about a lot of things and they
But
make
you also
sense to
said
me.
flat earth and hollow earth too, correct?
Yeah, I have theories about that too. I don't know. I don't subscribe to any one thing really. I am more of a hollow earth guy,
Okay.
like gun to my head, hollow earth.
Sure.
But I have some of my viewers who are flat earthers, so I kind of like to throw some ideas in there to think about, you know?
Some
Heard
people
that.
actually say that what Admiral Dick Bird, as we like to call him, what he actually saw or what he walked into whenever he claimed that he was walking into the hollow earth, some people say that he was actually maybe walked through a portal or through another dimension.
Dude,
That's
I've
why it
never thought
seemed
about
like,
it like that,
and
bro.
that's why it seemed like it would be kind of hollow on the inside because who was talking about portals and dimensions back in that day, right?
Right.
Yo.
If he was just to fly over through a thing into another biome like in Minecraft, how would he know that he just passed through a portal? Like sci-fi wasn't that deep back then. They didn't have Hollywood movies to where he would know what a quote unquote portal would look like. You know what I mean?
Also, check this out. So, and there are plenty of people out there that believe that the pyramids were actually some kind of portals, right? Like, there are some people that think that. Well, look no further. Whenever you're looking for fucking pyramids than Antarctica itself, there are more pyramids in Antarctica collectively than the rest of the world combined. So, is it possible that he
That's crazy
walked
to think about.
near a kind of pyramidic structure in Antarctica as he was walking past, you know, the frozen tundra of Antarctica and going across the other side and finding lush green vegetation? Maybe he stumbled across an area that was kind of being inhibited. Almost think about like a pyramid as like maybe it has like some kind of energetic fucking something that goes around and creates like this dome-like structure,
Like the Bermuda Triangle.
exactly like that. So is it possible that that could just be like the beginning point of whatever kind of energetic wormhole that you're trying to get to? I don't know. Anything's up
Dude,
for debate right now.
Anything's possible, brother. Anything is possible.
And anything including Antarctica is always going to be sketchy. Like I feel very, I don't know what I think about Antarctica. I believe Admiral Byrd, although some people would say you shouldn't believe Admiral Byrd because he was a 33rd degree Freemason.
And his diary was only released by his son after his death. Look, there's controversy.
Yeah.
Fine, fair. I still want somebody to explain to me the giant crystal pyramid that's 40, or it was like 40 foot under river silt at the mouth of the Mississippi River. Can someone explain why we have a giant, massive crystal pyramid right there that nobody just has known about until recently?
Wait, what?
Oh, yeah. There's a massive crystal pyramid underneath the mud at the base of the Mississippi River. It's just been covered up with river silt, and we can't get to it because it's under a massive moving river and fucking river silt, and nobody's coming up with explanations. Nobody's got answers. It's bullshit.
When was this?
They found it. What was it with like
discovered?
not called LiDAR. What's it when they fly over and do a scan of the things? I forget. It was a couple years ago when they did it.
Okay.
And I do mean like within the last 5. Like it wasn't like this is like old knowledge.
I gotta look into that.
Oh, it's wild shit, man. And whenever I heard that, and that was around the time when I heard this whole Mississippi River being the Nile of this hemisphere, I was like, bro, I thought the Amazon River was gonna be. I'm gonna be honest. If I had to pick a river, I would have thought that one. But like, no, we're on this side of the equator. So it's kind of that. If we're looking at the plane, right, the X and Y axis, if you will, Nile River here, Mississippi right here, it's like close but opposite of the equator to each other. And it's like, okay, kind of see where you're going with this.
Yeah. No, you're
Wild
right, dude.
shit.
That's something to think about as well. I didn't even think about that. South
Jonathan, are you searching that shit?
Yeah, I couldn't find it.
Can you,
Unless
I'm
you're
a
talking
search.
about the Memphis pyramid.
Oh, no, not Bass Pro, dude.
Yeah,
Which is fucking dope.
which is right off the Mississippi as well.
Right. I passed by there once upon a time. I wanted to stop, but I couldn't because I was on a time crunch. But dude, that thing is huge.
Dude, I think there's something to that pyramid being in Memphis, right? The capital of Egypt. Isn't that the capital? No, that's Cairo. Memphis is one of the biggest cities, I'm pretty sure.
And one of their deities.
Yes. And so when you think about that in terms of, okay, so there's tons of rappers from Memphis. I'm a big fan of Memphis rap, like from the 90s. Bunch of underground rap. And well, used to be a big fan. It's a little dark for me now. But
Yeah.
dude, I mean, we know how much sacrifice happens, ritual sacrifice happens in these industries, especially the music industry, probably more than any, the music industry.
Sure.
And so I don't know, man. I'm doing a Patreon episode on this actually. Just kind of talking about some of the rappers that have died and their relations to other rappers who got big, or like maybe looking at their lyrics because there's a lot of these rappers that talk about sacrifice, and maybe they're just being edgy, and but I don't know, maybe there's something else to it. Maybe that's, I don't know. I think there's something to the South, maybe like what we were saying, being part of the Fertile Crescent. Maybe that's why there's so much paranormal activity here,
Oh,
especially where y'all live.
Yeah, no doubt, dude. New Orleans is big with Santeria, voodoo, hoodoo, all that shit.
Yeah, man.
Speaking of all these things, so I found this, and I didn't play the whole thing. I'm not 100% of this is what I think it is, but God, let's see how the TikTok world goes. The Mississippi River and the Nile are the same. Let's see.
Discovered the ruins of an ancient civilization off the coast of St. Bernard Parish.
He claims there are large mounds underwater that may have once been the site of a lost city thousands of years ago.
Paul Murphy reports local fishermen have long talked about strange and unexplained things happening in that area.
The Chandeleur Islands are a chain of uninhabited barrier islands located in the Gulf of Mexico, 50 miles east of New Orleans. But 12,000 years ago, before a dramatic sea level rise at the end of the last ice age, this area may have been dry land.
3 different search areas.
Retired architect and amateur archaeologist George Gillet believes the site, now underwater, was once home to an ancient civilization. He dubbed the city Crescentis.
What's down there is hundreds of buildings that are covered with sand and silt and that are geographically related to the Great Pyramid of Giza.
Giza is a city in northern Egypt where ancient pyramids and the Sphinx are located. Gillet claims to have found mysterious mounds of granite under Chandeleur Sound. Granite is not native to Louisiana or Mississippi.
Somebody floated billion stones down the Mississippi River and then assembled them outside of what would later become New Orleans.
I mean, look, dude, I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. You know what I mean?
Dude,
That's why the witchcraft is so strong in New Orleans, brother.
Oh, it goes deep. I don't know if y'all want to play the Billy Carson thing. We ain't got it.
Dude, play it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, play it.
Okay.
I was wrong on this though. He wasn't like banging on the door. He did come with like basically some sort of like wannabe legal paperwork, like a cease and desist. But yeah, all right, we'll just play it for a little quick minute anyway. So this guy speaking on this side is his former assistant who just quit like 2 months ago.
Billy
who was
Carson,
like
former assistant.
Billy Carson's former assistant. Yeah, these dudes. It's a show that it's called Bless God Studios. I like the dudes, but they are responding to this, and they also have the Ring camera footage at this point. So yeah, it's only like 2 minutes that we need to play, really.
Okay.
Historian and linguist, the fraudulent documents you like to claim as truthful have nothing to stand
He
on.
reacts to the debate with West Huff later on in the video. You guys go watch Anton's video.
This is 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Yeah, and Vocab Malone has reacted to it. Wow. What's his name? John Clash has reacted to it. Maybe I'll do a whole separate stream on that. Go ahead.
And you didn't like that you got exposed. And because you got exposed for knowing nothing about Christianity, you freaked out. You freaked out so much that you were knocking at my client's door at 2:30 a.m. in the morning.
Now I got to handle that situation.
There he goes.
With legal papers, acting like you have the power to enforce some type of you got served. You guys, this is the type of person Billy is. Like, he does have a brain injury, so maybe there is something like literally wrong with him. I don't know. But this is like crazy behavior. My client has kids. He has a family. You got this guy walking up at his house at 2:30 in the morning because of a debate that he posted.
That's crazy. You know what that also means?
Anton said it.
It means he never went to bed, or he got up at like 1:30 to like get ready for the day. That's crazy.
That, by the way, wasn't even that bad. I mean, it was bad because Billy doesn't know what he's talking about, but there wasn't like arguments, and Wesley was very kind, and he could have pushed way harder, and he didn't. So Billy, bro, was it diabolical, or is what you're doing diabolical?
But at the same time, my mind went right into solutions mode. What's the solution to this problem, and how can I do it? How can I take care of the situation?
The solution is to pretend you're a lawyer and knock at my client's door at 2:30 in the morning.
Billy Carson caught on a Ring doorbell where the Ring doorbell said front door cam 2/29/54.
You guys go watch Anton's full video while it's still up. You guys fill in the blank. Those of you guys that wanted to know what was being bleeped out, I couldn't say it publicly.
Bro, it's not looking good for him. And to be fair, if you watch the debate with Billy and that guy, they are correct. Like, your boy that debated him was being very nice. He wasn't like, actually, not at all. He was like, well, this is what I have found, and this and this and this and
presenting
this.
evidence, yeah.
He was very, very nice. Like, he sounds like a genuinely good dude. You know, he could have been like Professor Dave and just shit on him and just been a dick. But like, that wasn't him. And I think that was good too. You know what I mean? But yeah, that was just that's a thing that's happening. It's a wild time to be in this line of work, bro.
Billiam, I just want to put it out there from one of your followers, my good sir. If you would like to resurrect your image, please come check out the Cult of Conspiracy. We'd love to have you on as a guest.
I would love to have you on as a guest, and not to be a dick, not to shit on you. Genuinely would like to talk to you. And you know what? Let's stay off of Christianity, because you talk about so many things, Billy. We don't need to do just biblical. Just keep all Bible out your mouth, and let's talk about everything else, brother. I would love to have you on.
That'd be a good show.
I hope that reaches all the radio waves of the interwebs and
I hope so.
Into Billy Carson's DMs.
Guys, this was fun. We have to do this again sometime. Did you want to let everyone know where to find y'all?
Yeah, we are the Cult of Conspiracy podcast. You can find us on any of your podcast players, whatever you like to listen to, whether it's Apple or Spotify or any of the other ones. We're also at patreon.com/Cult of Conspiracy podcast and rockfin.com/Cult of Conspiracy. And if you want to come check us out on Instagram, we are at Cult of Conspiracy podcast. Give us a follow, send us a message. We try and do our very best to reply back to everybody. And we appreciate you having us on, brother.
Yes, indeed. We cannot wait to be on again, dude. We have to have you on ours. I can't wait to come on y'all's. We got to get together for this camping trip. This is real shit.
Yes,
when we go to Kisatchie National Forest to meet the tree people, the tree folk, you've got to come with, bro.
I do want to come with y'all, man. Y'all shoot me your numbers in the DMs on Instagram, or yeah, man, we have to get together. The fact I didn't know y'all were right here next to me, dude.
Hell yeah.
Wow, brother. All right, guys. Well, y'all know where to find me. I'm on Rumble, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Instagram, and Twitter at Grey Pill Pod on Twitter. Patreon, Grey Pill Podcast. Go there. We got a lot of cool shit coming. I'm having Esoteric Eddie on next Friday for Friday the 13th. Been waiting for this for a while now. He's one of my favorite researchers. So this it's gonna be a good time. Yeah. Anyway, guys, y'all take it easy and stay gray pilled. I will see y'all later.
Learn about the full history of the Bavarian Illuminati. Adam Weishaupt, Alumbrados, Jesuits, Rosicrucians, Freemasons, and more. From the 18th century to modern day, we expose it all. That's right, it's the Illuminati comic from Donut and Paranoid American. Get yours now at IlluminatiComic.com.